Today you see two jackets. You can use so many different types of fabrics to make them, and they're just so easy to sew, easy placket, easy collar, easy sleeves, but just really impactful, so wearable. Look at this. I'm really excited to share my print version because it's just fabulous. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and I have two jackets to share today. I had such a hard time choosing my fabrics because there's just so many fabrics that you can use, and the style is super classic. It's very wearable, and what I'm talking about is a downtown jacket from Pattern Emporium. Now this one's a little different because there's actually two patterns for sale. The general features of these patterns are very similar. It's just that the fit is very different. So one is a regular fit, one is a roomy fit. Now, it doesn't mean that you can just take the regular fit and sew a couple sizes larger and it'll be the same thing. It's not, because the roomy fit is just going to have more ease while keeping good shoulder fit, good neckline fit, the collar fit and everything. So I'll explain a little bit more about that later, but there's basically two patterns for sale. You can buy them individually depending on the type of fit that you prefer, or you can buy them as a combo, as a bundle. So the downtown jacket has a really easy to sew collar. I really love the way that this collar is sewn in. It's one of the easiest ways to do it. Also, the button placket is integrated onto the front piece, so it's just an extension that's interfaced and folded back. Very easy to achieve as well. I would say there's nothing in this jacket that is scary that you can't sew. You can choose how many buttons you want to sew in there on that button placket. Now, if you want to do a long sleeve, this long sleeve has a two-piece sleeve. After that two-piece sleeve, which looks a little shorter, it's because the cuff is really exaggerated. It's really long. The cuff overlaps and it ends up meeting the seam that comes from the back of the two-piece sleeve. You can put a few buttons there if you want. I really think that this cuff is a unique design feature on this jacket. And of course, you're going to see it more in a solid than in the print that I'm going to show you. Unfortunately, I sewed this feature on a print, but it's still very pretty and it was really fun to sew and easy as well. On the front, you can put patch pockets if you want. These patch pockets have a point, that type of shape, similar to what you would see at the back of jeans, but here on the front. You can sew a regular type of shape and also an elongated one, which is really dramatic. At the back, you're going to have a yoke, 2 layers, burrito method encloses this seam and the seam at the back. I always enjoy that technique because it makes everything look so sharp on the inside. For the back piece, you have two options. One is just to sew that center back seam and top stitch it, which is what I chose. If you do want a little bit more ease, you have a separate piece where it's cut on the fold and you have a pleat. That would give you more space at the hips. Now, all of these have 3 lengths. One's cropped at the waist, the other one at the high hip, the other one at the full hip. All of those will have the 3 lengths. And if you want to, you can sew splits on the side slits. I have done that with one of mine. Now, if you wanted a short sleeve, you can also do that. There is a pattern piece with a regular short sleeve. That one is not a two-piece sleeve, it's just a regular short sleeve, and I've also done that. Because the downtown jacket is a brand new pattern at Pattern Emporium, it's going to be 15% off for a couple of days. When you go to the website, you see the countdown on the top there, how many hours and days you have left for the sale. You don't need any special code. When you put the pattern in your cart, the discount will appear at checkout, and there's always the option of buying both patterns, the regular and the roomy fit, as a combo, or separately if you just want one type of fit, the regular or the roomy. I'll have all the affiliate links for the 3 options down below at the top of the comment section, pinned, so it's easy to find. Also in the description box. If you do click on my affiliate link and you end up purchasing, I do receive a small commission back. That is one of the ways I make an income, creating free content for you to see on YouTube. So if you like my work and it helps your sewing, that is one way that you can support me without costing you anything extra. Now, because Australia is in a whole different time zone over there in Brisbane, I always get really confused as to when the sale ends. I believe it's on Thursday the 22nd of August around this part of the world at some point during the day. But always just check when you go to the website, go on the page, you'll see the countdown on the top, so it's easy to know. I think that's the best way to not get confused. The downtown is designed for woven fabrics. I really would not want to sew this one with a knit fabric, not in any time of my life. This is really a design for woven fabrics. Light to medium to heavy-ish would be okay. If you do have drape in your fabric, that's okay, but you don't need it. So fabrics that are on my top tier would be linen, 100% linen, linen blends, denim, cotton twill, cotton sateen, corduroy, velvet, a wool suiting, maybe even a little bit of a heavier wool. But if I was making it out of wool, I think I would go with the roomy fit and not the regular fit, just have a little bit more space. If you wanted something with a little more drape, I would use tencel twill. It's a fabric I've got in many colors, and I've already used one of the colors to make a trench coat, and it's an amazing fabric because it's got a nice amount of weight but also a really nice amount of drape. So if you wanted something to look like that, that would be a great choice. And also linen rayon blends. When there's rayon in the blend, there's always going to be a little bit more drape and softness to the fabric. My choices, cotton sateen in a beautiful print. I had so many of these prints there, I didn't know what to choose. But what I think is, if I see a print and I can come up with 3 or 4 looks of things I've already got in my wardrobe within a minute, then that's a choice. If I start thinking the colors here don't really go with much, I don't really have many things to go with it, then I'll probably leave it for later. That is my internal type of rule, to choose print fabric, especially when it's going to be a type of statement piece like a jacket. My second choice is 100% linen, that's a navy, and that's going to be the version with the short sleeves. I really want something that's going to go over a lot of fit and flare dresses I have that do have navy in the print, so that is my goal there. You need a little bit of fusible interfacing for the upper collar, for the center front where the button placket's going to be, and for half of this cuff piece. It's not a whole lot that you need, but you do need some. And then the buttons, 3/4 inch buttons, you can choose how many you want, depends on the length of the jacket that you're making as well. For both the regular and the roomy fit, the sizes are the same. We have from 4 to 30 Australian. 58 and 3/4 inch hip is the largest measurement for the largest size. And I'm going to talk about the ease for the regular fit because that is the one that I chose. It meshes much better with my personal styling and the way that I like things to fit. I know a lot of people like roomy and oversized. Whenever I do try roomy and oversized, I don't feel like myself. So just to keep it honest and just to keep it real and to make things that I'm going to really enjoy, I'm always going to choose what I like the best. And between the regular and the roomy, I like the regular fit the best. It also meshes well with my climate because the regular fit is designed to be worn over a really light layer underneath, maybe something sleeveless or a layer that's very light because there's less positive ease in the jacket. The roomy fit, instead, if you wanted to wear a turtleneck, a sweater, long sleeve top underneath, then you would have space for that. So if you wanted to make this type of jacket for colder weather, then I think the roomy fit would be better. But I live in hot weather most of the time, so it just meshes better with my personal style and my weather to make the regular fit. For all of these, the regular and the roomy fit, you have full bust options for the front. There's a 2 size difference and a 3 size different front for you. So if your high bust and your full bust have a lot of size difference within the charts, you have that option to get a better bust fit there. I don't really need those options because my high bust and my full bust fall within the same size. So I'm just sewing the regular front option here, but just know that you have a 2 size and a 3 size full bust option pieces for the front. I think that is amazing because it saves you time. You don't have to do adjustments like that. You get about 6 inches of ease at the bust, quite a nice amount for the waist because it's quite boxy, and at the hips, depends if you're doing the center back that is regular with the seam sewn and top stitch, you get about 3.5 inches of positive ease at the hips. But if you sew the back option that has the pleat, the box pleat, then you get 4 inches more. So if you need that amount of ease and you like that amount of ease at the back, go ahead with the pleat version, especially if you're making the longer versions. Personal fitting, I didn't do any fitting changes other than choose my size, so it was really easy. I didn't make a test garment, nothing like that. I just trust the process. I chose my size at this point, 16 Australian. I just cut it, sewed it, and wore it, and it fits perfect. So no fitting changes there. I chose the front piece that just has the regular bust fit, which has the same fit for the high bust and the full bust. You know, my measurements fall within one size. So that's it. Pretty easy. For sewing, I'm going to show you a bit of a summary of the general construction. This is the pattern that I'm sewing for the full sew along on my Patreon page for this month of August. So if you belong to my Orchid Tee on my Patreon page, you'll be able to see this in full detail from start to finish. Otherwise, this is still going to be helpful. We're using a 3/8 seam allowance. And remember, I already have some videos on the channel that would help you, especially with the collar. I have this technique already in its own separate video. I'll link that below. I also have a really comprehensive video on yokes that use the burrito method because we're going to use that as well. So let's see a summary of how this one comes together. Here are the pattern pieces for the downtown jacket from Pattern Emporium. That is the front over here. This center area is just a little wider because it's got the integrated button placket right there. So it's just one piece. There's no other extra seams there. This is the back. The back is not cut on the fold. There is a center back seam in this version. There is another version of the back where you would have a pleat on the center back, but I'm not choosing that version. These are the two yoke pieces. The seam that unites them will be enclosed over here with the burrito method. That's a peak of my main fabric. That's going to be on the inside. This is a pink linen. That's a remnant that matches that. So I'm using that on the inside. It's also lightweight, so it will keep it bulk free. The long sleeve version has a two-piece sleeve. That is the under sleeve, the small one. That is the upper sleeve. That's a larger piece. And over here is a cuff. The cuff is wider than the typical cuff. Only half of this cuff is interfaced lengthwise. This one's the upper collar. It's interfaced. This one's the under collar. It's not interfaced. They aren't the same pattern pieces, separate pattern pieces for them. Under collar is a little bit smaller than the upper collar. There is another piece that you can sew on the front. It can be this length or it can be even longer, so it's more dramatic. But because this is a print, I'm not going to sew the pockets on this version. I am going to sew the pockets on the version I'm planning to make out of linen. That will be a solid, and that instead of having the long sleeve and the cuff, we'll just have a regular short sleeve. As usual, the first step will be to stay stitch this neckline. So we're doing it from the shoulder into the center. These are the fronts. The seam allowance that we're going to use to sew the collar on later is 3/8. It's 3/8 for the whole pattern. So I'm doing this one slightly smaller than 3/8. For the back, this is going to be done on the yoke pieces because that's where the back neckline is. I'll do the same. I'll go from the shoulder into the center, flip the fabric, go from the shoulder into the center to keep it symmetrical. Lots of memory creases done. This is going to be so helpful for later, especially on the hem. You can forget about doing that later. I'm going to take this placket and fold it right sides together over here. Keep this first fold that I did at 3/8 like it is. And now we're going to do a really tiny seam from that mark that you see there. We're going to sew from here to this folded edge. You can see the tiny seam. We do the same on the other side. And what we need to do here is snip right up to there. Now we can flip this. And we're going to have only this section finished right here, and then this raw area there. This is where the collar is going to come up to later, the bottom of the placket. Here it's similar. We have these memory creases. We're just going to bring this over like this, the same way. We're going to keep this folded as it is, that first fold. Here we're going to sew at 3/8, seam allowance from this edge. Okay, there's that little seam, and now we flip. From this side, when we fold this hem up, this hem is going to come from behind the integrated placket right here. Okay, here we have the yoke pressed. When I open this up, you can see that the seam is all raw in there, but it doesn't matter because it's all enclosed. I love how this is going to look like from the inside with the pink linen there. It's just so pretty. This is how it looks like so far with the yoke in. This is the inner yoke, super lovely in a contrast, enclosing this seam and that seam. And now that we have our neckline all made up because all the pieces are there, we can start assembling the collar and sewing the collar on here. That's what comes next. Here we have our jacket right sides up. Here we can see the neckline. Now we're going to take our collar. I've just been to the iron and I've pressed it, neatened it all up. We have one side that's interfaced. That side has the bottom edge pressed up, as we see. The other one doesn't. It's extended, fully raw. And this uninterfaced side, that's the one that we want to place right sides together with the neckline over here. That's the collar done right there. It's super neat. The presser foot really helps you get that clean look.
It looks the same on this other side, and that's because I took the time to hand baste it like that. Otherwise, back area could turn out super wonky. And now that we have that collar out of the way, we can sew side seams. I have side seams with a slit. That is an option I want to do. If you don't want to do the side slit, then don't. Just fold away the extra seam allowance you get on the side. You can see it gets a little wavy. Now it's time to assemble these sleeves. These are two-piece sleeves. So we have the under sleeve, which is the smaller one, and the upper sleeve, which is the larger one. And we have this longer area of the sleeve here where they match. These shorter ones right here, these are going to be sewn later. And by the way, I've already serged these edges. I haven't serged these because this is a seam that's going to go together. So I've just aligned them, 3/8 seam allowance. At the top, you're going to see this little triangle protruding, but that's fine because when we sew at 3/8, it's going to be right on the edge there. And this has been trued to be pressed later towards the upper sleeve over there. So it's going to end up super smooth right there. After doing that seam and top stitching, now we can do the other seam of the sleeve. And this is one I'm going to press open. I've turned the sleeve right sides out here. And this is the seam that we top stitched. So we're going to take this seam right there and just extend this whole sleeve circumference at the bottom. And we're going to put a pin right here in the middle. This is a mark that we need to make on our pattern. Next, we're going to take our cuff and fold it lengthwise, right sides together, and we're going to sew these short edges right here and flip it to the other side. Here's the cuff turned right sides out, flipped, pressed really neatly. Now at this stage, before doing the rest, if you want to top stitch, this is where you would do it. I'm going to put some lines on the screen on top of the print because it's going to be easier for you to see. But what we want to do is put the two sleeves like you see them here. The seam that's the shortest seam, the one that's pressed open, is on the outer edges here and there. And we can see the seam that we top stitched right there. That's how you want them to be mirrored like that. It's going to be the easiest way. What we have at the bottom are the cuffs. You want the layout of the cuff that's interfaced to be up like this, looking up at you. And then on the pattern piece, you'll see some notches, some marks that are towards the outer part of the cuff. Those marks are going to be on the outside. I've got a pin that's green right there so I can see it. So those notches are going to be out here. Another thing that you need to make note of is that this folded edge is up here and the raw edge of the cuff is down there. So make sure all the raw edges are here. What we need to do is bring this side of the cuff that's on the inner area here. There's no notches around here, no pins. And just bring it over like this to this side, both sides like that. So there's our cuff. Remember, we brought it over. We have that notch or that pin. And so I'm going to align this edge over here with this pin here. And then this area is going to overlap. So we're going to have this overlap of the cuff right here. I'm going to put some pins to hold it in place there. So that's one cuff. And then this other one, remember this came over this side. The folded edge is going to reach that notch or pin that I have right there. And that's the overlap. The overlap is about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters. There is the pin. That's where I'm meeting the fold. And that's how I'm forming my cuff. So there we have two cuffs. Overlaps happening like this way. I've got 2 more pins here to mark the middle of these cuffs. And when you look at it like this is the outside of the cuff. This is the inside of the cuff. So along this edge here, that's on the inside of the cuff, that's where I'm going to fold it. And that's how I'm going to mark the half on the other side. Same as on this side. This is the outside of the cuff. This is the inside of the cuff. This edge that's on the inside, that's the middle point. So I fold it there. And then I mark on the other side. And now we're going to go to the sewing machine because now we can just sew this on the round to the bottom of the sleeve. It's super easy. Make sure you keep each sleeve with the one that corresponds for each side here. So we're going to take our sleeve and slide it inside the cuff. When we do that, we're going to get right sides together, and the right side of the cuff is going to be the interfaced cuff. And here on the inside of the cuff, we want this edge to match the seam that we top stitched. So there it is. We want that sort of to be seamless right there. So I'm going to match up that top stitch seam from the sleeve with this inner edge of the cuff right there. And then we had marked the middle of the cuff with the middle of the sleeve. So we have those pins there already, and those are going to match. And then everything's just going to be 1-to-1 all the way around. So we're just going to sew it on the round. Okay, there's the seam and it's serged. Now when we flip this like it's going to be worn, we're going to have this part of the cuff that overlaps over the inner one at the same place where we had the top stitch seam from the sleeve. This is the under sleeve here. This is the upper sleeve right there. And we have this coming there. So when we actually put this on, let me put this on like it's worn. this cuff is coming that way. It's going towards the back part of your body.
This is my first version, the one you saw in the tutorial. This is a cotton sateen. I did decide to keep the top stitching to a minimum and just do edge stitching because it's a print. And I don't really think cotton sateen benefits much from a lot of top stitching like other fabrics do, like linen does or cotton twill, that sort of thing. So I think top stitching is always something you need to think about, whether it's going to make the garment look better or not, or it's just going to be neutral and no one's ever going to see it. I did decide to use my inner layer of the yoke in a pink linen remnant that I have because it saved on the main fabric. I still have enough to make a pencil skirt. I really want to have a set at some point. So I was trying to use the least possible of this main fabric because it's just so nice. This collar is the easiest collar you could ever sew. Remember, I have a whole video on the channel showing you how to sew this collar. This is a technique that you would see in other patterns over at Pattern Emporium and with other brands as well. So it's not specific to Pattern Emporium, but the technique is the same. It's a really easy one. You'll see it's the easiest one of all. And you have this little bit right here that was sewn first. This has been folded in. This is the interfaced area, and then the hem has a fold and then another fold. I did all of this hem by hand just because my cotton sateen was begging for a hand hem. It looks so clean and so neat like this. I know I would be super unhappy with a machine sewn hem with a cotton sateen. I know this because I've had jackets and blazers in the past that have had that machine sewn hem, and I always thought that's so ugly. So I can control that in my sewing and I can decide to do a hand hem. At the back we have the yoke, which of course you can barely see the seams because it's a print. This center back seam is top stitched but just on the edge. Now if you wanted to eliminate that seam you can because there's no shaping there. So if you wanted to put that piece on the fold, just fold away that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance away on the paper and cut it on the fold. Especially if you have a print where it's beautiful and you don't want to cut through a beautiful print, stuff like that. But because this print is pretty random, I was quite happy to have that seam there. And that's how it looks like inside. Serged with the pink thread. The two-piece sleeve, super easy to set in. There's not a lot of extra ease on the sleeve cap, so that was non-stressful. It was very enjoyable. At the back of the sleeve, we have a seam. That's the seam that meets the cuff there, and I just sewed a button right through. I didn't sew a buttonhole because I'm just always going to leave it closed. Super dramatic. You can see it's quite wide, it's quite long. I really wasn't sure if I needed to add length to the sleeve. When I make this jacket again, I'll probably add 1 inch of length to the sleeve because the length that I get is right where it has to be. And I always like my sleeves a tad bit longer just because. So I'm really happy. Everything's so neat inside. The side seams are pressed open. I do have the little slit there, which was an option. You can also ignore that and just sew the seam all the way down and not have the slit. It's up to you. But I decided to do it because I like slits on the side. And that is my jacket. For this one, I didn't put patch pockets on the front because of the print and because I was trying to save the fabric I had for the pencil skirt. You wouldn't really see the patch pockets, so I didn't sew them. But the linen one, that one's going to have the patch pockets on there. So that is it. Let's see it on. I've styled it a few ways. I ended up having quite a few bottoms that match the pink, the purple, the beige and all that stuff in here. So let's see. This is my first downtown jacket from Pattern Emporium. This is a straight size 16 with a regular bust front. This is also the regular fit. There's also another pattern that's got the same features but has more ease, and it's called the roomy fit. This is a cotton sateen with a lovely print. The print has several colors, so I've matched it up with a purple skirt, which is one of the colors in there. So I really love that I have so many options to wear this statement type of jacket. I've got the mid length there. It's supposed to hit my mid hip, but I'm a little taller, so it hits my high hip. I'm really happy with this length. There is a shorter length and a longer length as well. I did choose to do the side slits. That is optional. You can sew the seam normal if you want. I've done a hand hem, and there you can see the beautiful exaggerated cuff. I've only sewn one button at the bottom. I've sewn it right through without a buttonhole. I'm really happy that I had the matching pink button. The collar and button placket is so easy to sew. You can see them there. They fit really well. There's a classic feature like a yoke that you can see at the back. Well, you can see the seam barely because this is a print, but the yoke is double. It's burrito method inside, very neat. This is a jacket that has beautiful features, that is not hard to sew, that has a great shoulder fit and sleeve fit.
I'm very happy with this version of the jacket, the regular fit. There's the collar and the placket up closer. One of the easiest things to sew in this jacket, so there's no need to fear. It's all very doable, especially if you've never sewn a jacket, you can certainly do this one. And I absolutely love the fit and the look here. The cotton sateen I think was a perfect choice for me, and this print makes me very, very happy. I think the pencil skirt goes really well. It's not too tight. I think it's fine for a jacket that's shorter like this. I have options to style this many ways. These are cropped wider leg pants in beige, which is also a color within the print there. I know some people think that these pants make you look shorter, but I don't really buy into that, maybe because I'm a little bit taller. Really happy with this look here. I have so many options. I think the length of this jacket is perfect for a pair of wide leg pants like this one. I wouldn't want to wear super fitted bottoms with a shorter jacket like this. So I think this style of bottom goes perfectly, and I love the combination of colors. I love that this jacket can still be the main focus of the outfit, and I can spice the outfit up with a little pink bag, which I love. Another color in this jacket is a brown, so I've got a brown linen pencil skirt. I pretty much have pencil skirts in most colors, so I have a lot of options. Still, I'm keeping the jacket as the main focal point. I've got a light colored top underneath as well to keep the focus on the jacket, which is great. I know a fuller skirt would also look really great with this jacket that's a little shorter at the high hip, and you'll see that next. Next, I have a white wrap skirt. This one's more A-line. It's definitely more voluminous, but nicely fitted at the waist. So I think the white, of course, matches this jacket because there's white in the print. It just looks so beautiful and so summery. The volume of the skirt doesn't interfere with the jacket. So again, the shorter jacket, so versatile. I'm so glad to have it. And then this last look was one I was really looking forward to wearing, because as soon as I saw this print that it had a lot of pink, I knew I could wear this pink dress underneath. The pink dress has a nicely fitted bodice. It's nicely fitted at the waist with the elasticated feature there. And then the skirt has a little bit more volume. Again, the shorter jacket is going to go perfect over here. This jacket is not going to interfere with the volume of the skirt, so it's perfect for a fit and flare dress. The pink underneath is just so great. I feel amazing in these colors, and I'm very happy this jacket can be worn so many ways. Now that we saw that gorgeous one over there, I have my second version, and this is 100% linen in navy. This is something I've been dreaming about for ages, and this pattern was perfect for this little shorter jacket that I wanted. And this one just has the regular short sleeve, so that was easier to set in, and it's going to make it more versatile for the hot weather. The inner yoke here was made with cotton shirting in a stripe. I've actually made a blouse with this one, and all the little bits left over, I've enjoyed using it with things like this. I think it makes it super nice inside. All the rest is the same. I have done more top stitching. This is the center back that's top stitched. I edge stitched on either side, so I press the seam open there. The biggest difference is that I did add the pockets here, and I did the extended longer pockets just because they're more dramatic, so they have that shape right there. I think they look super pretty in linen, and I only edge stitched as well. I used 3 buttons in the sort of tan caramel color. Everything's neatly pressed inside and serged. I did sew the hem by machine this time because it's linen. And this was a real gift to myself because I really wanted a short little jacket like this. This is gonna go such a long way. I've styled it 5 ways for you. I could have easily done 10. This is
I know this is something I'm going to be grabbing all of the time, and I'm super excited to have it. The downtown jacket in the regular fit was just perfect for it. Let's see it on. I use navy 100% linen fabric to make my second downtown jacket from Pattern Emporium. It's also a size 16. It's also the regular fit, the option that has less ease, and it's also the mid-length. It should hit my mid-hip, but it's actually at my high hip because I'm a little taller and I like that. I did sew extra details here just because with a solid you would see them. I've got them paired with a pair of cute shorts, also in linen. I really like the look here. I actually did my hem by machine this time, shock. I only have 3 buttons and the collar and the placket are the same. Super enjoyable to work with linen, very easy. And here you can see the dramatic pockets. You can see the top of the pockets. You'll see the bottom of the pockets in a bit. The yoke, the center back seam, you can really see them now with the solid, and this regular short sleeve is super practical. I did top stitch that seam of the yoke right there. Sure you can't see that, but everything's edge stitched. I use a fun contrast fabric for the inner layer of the yoke and I love doing that. Here is a closer look at the collar. I did top stitch this one, and the placket, very neat. Up further away are these pockets that are elongated. They're really dramatic, really unique. I really enjoyed sewing those pockets. I think they look really cool with the linen because it's a solid. Shoulder fit and sleeve fit is super perfect. This layer is perfect to wear something light underneath, so this is perfect for summer, spring. I'm really enjoying this one and I've had a lot of fun styling it. This is a wrap skirt made out of linen. It's really cute in red and white. I'm wearing a white cami so that this makes sense. Blue shoes to match the jacket. And because this wrap skirt has more volume, I think the shorter jacket goes perfectly here. This navy shorter jacket was something that was really missing from my wardrobe, and so much fun to find things that go with it because so many things do. And this particular skirt was one that I was having a hard time styling in real life because it has more volume, being the shape that it has. I love the navy, the red and the white, classic color combination that I've always enjoyed. Lots of flags have it. My own Chilean flag has it. So I really like the colors here. I also love the combination of pink with navy. I think it's beautiful, and this is a sea change jumpsuit, also from Pattern Emporium. This is a shorter version. It sort of disguises itself a little bit like a dress. It's got a bit more volume on the legs, so I thought it was perfect for this shorter downtown jacket. This jumpsuit has ties at the waist that give it a bit of shape and definition, so I really like that underneath the jacket. It's such a wearable jumpsuit, and this is just one extra way I can wear it when I need some extra coverage or it's a little bit chilly, or probably I don't want to show all of my shoulders because this jumpsuit shows a lot of my shoulders. So this is perfect. The navy and the pink go great together and I feel amazing in these colors. Of course, the fit and flare dresses are going to be perfect for this type of jacket, and that was a primary reason I made a shorter jacket, because I do have dresses like this one that have fitted bodices and fuller skirts. This dress is in ITY and it's one of the most fullest skirts I have, and I also had trouble styling it and now I don't. You can see the bodice is really fitted, the skirt is pretty full. So this is perfect. This jacket fills a huge gap that I had in my wardrobe and it's perfect. Love it. Spiced it up with a little red handbag because why not? We already know that I love this color combination. This next dress also has a bit of a fuller skirt, although not as full as the dress you just saw. It's an A-line skirt and it's beautiful. The colors are amazing. The navy background is gorgeous and the pink bag goes perfectly with the pink florals here. These two looks are more of a dressed up version. I would go to church like this, brought out the beautiful heels, and I love it. There's a lovely detail of the fitted bodice, fuller skirt here. These shorter jackets are just perfect and I can't believe I'd never sewn them before.
knowing that I needed them, now I've just put the plan in action and made some. I have been collecting a few. Now that I have this navy one, I'm very happy because it's just gonna work so well in my wardrobe now.
I'm really happy with both of my downtown jackets. They tick all of my boxes. The print one is amazing. The print of that fabric is so beautiful, and I've had it there for so long staring at me. I'm really happy it's a garment. I'm also happy that I have a lot of ways to wear it because I've shown you a few here, but as I was editing, I was thinking up, oh, I could go with this, with that. I have at least 4 more. So that's important for me. I want to be able to wear the things that I make right now with things I've already made. I don't want to be making things to go with things on the spot. That's just not the way I roll. And even though I do have enough for a pencil skirt for later, that's just going to be one of the options to wear as a set. But it's so impactful. The colors are beautiful. I think they match my skin tone beautifully, and I'm just really happy. The navy one, you know, it's solid, it's a little bit more boring, but it's so beautiful, and it's totally fulfilling a need that I had for a shorter jacket like this, short sleeves that I can wear in the summer over a lot of those fit and flare dresses that I have, because these shorter jackets are amazing over fit and flare styles. So I'm very happy with mine. Highly recommend. Great experience as always. No fitting changes. It was just super painless, and the technique's easy to implement. So I really recommend. Don't forget that these patterns are on sale for a few more days. Check out the website. There's a countdown there. Make sure you don't miss out if you like a style like this. That's all from me. I will see you again very soon on this channel with more sewing. Bye.